Bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs, we got bows, TKOs, yeah. Bows, TKOs.
Bows and TKOs. We are live, episode 150. Coming at you from the valley. It's a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. It's a little hot, but we got one hell of a hot MMA show coming at you. I'm your host, Shane Gillette, for this weekly MMA podcast, streaming anywhere you listen to podcasts, with the videos, of course, on YouTube. We have a couple fights that have been announced. We will chat a little bit about last week's BJJ 9. We have RAF 10 this weekend in St. Louis. Recap last weekend's Apex card in the much anticipated, much awaited UFC Freedom 250 at the White House, going down this Sunday. So let's jump right in. A few fights that have been announced. We have Billy Quarantillo taking on Carlos Diego Fajeda, August 8th. A great veteran showdown. We have Andre Fili stepping in for Giga Chikadze. He'll be taking on Vinicius Oliveira in his 145-pound debut here in a couple weeks, June 20th. That's one hell of a scrap. And then you want to talk about banger. I was hoping they would make this fight. We get King Green, T-Rex, Terrence McKinney, UFC 329. And looking at the future slates that we have, I'm interested to see how the White House compares to Fight Week. Obviously, Fight Week has way more fights, the Conor McGregor return, but two of the probably biggest cards this year. Lots of anticipation for the UFC right now. And then the UFC announced after the Apex event they are going to implement their new ranking system soon. They've been talking about that all year, but it's about to come. So I'm interested to see how that shakes up. For example, Belal Muhammad lost this weekend. He fell a couple spots, but he's still in the top 10, although he's on a 4-fight skid and is nearing 40. So I'm interested to see how it handles fighters like that. But last Thursday, we had UFC BJJ 9. All the BJJ events are free on YouTube. I tuned in for this one, and I actually enjoyed it. This is the first UFC BJJ where I watched it and felt like it was worth watching, a good time spent. So hopefully they could continue to keep this. But we had John Chandler with a round 3 triangle choke over Rafael Fajeda. Achilles Roca with a round 1 heel hook over Felipe Pimentel. And, these are very aggressive scoring. It's all about how much submissions and offense are firing out on the scorecards. That's why we do see so many submissions. But these next few fights were awesome. We had Bellamir with a round 3 armbar over Nichelle Johnson. Fionn Davies with a round 1 armbar over Amanda Bruce. And then Nick Rodriguez dominating with a round 1 rear naked choke over Hayao Nicolite. Gilbert Burns making his UFC BJJ debut, doing so brilliantly with a round 1 rear naked choke over Orlando Montero. He called out pretty much everyone in his post-fight interview. I think the one that has potential that would be absolutely insane is Damian Maia. I hope that happens. I don't think a lot of the other alums of the UFC are probably realistic. But Gilbert Burns, I assumed he would do good, but he should be getting a shot for the UFC BJJ belt soon. And then Mason Fowler defending his belt with a round 1 rear naked choke over Devontae Johnson. But I liked that this was more, how should I say it? High pace still, more offensive, but it wasn't just guys doing leg entanglements and looking for heel hooks. There was one heel hook on the fights we recapped. There was people in full mount, transitioning into arm bars, getting people's backs, getting rear naked chokes. I'm more of a fan of that. So that's why I enjoyed this, and there were some really big names on that card. So if you haven't watched it, check it out on YouTube. Let me know what you think. This weekend, RAF is back again in St. Louis for RAF 10 with a loaded card. We have Keegan O'Toole, former Missouri champion, taking on Bekzad Abdurakhmanov. Austin DeSanto taking on Ranieri Ortega. Aaron Pico making his debut against Lance Palmer. Arman Sarukian every single time taking on Tony Ferguson. I mean, that's going to be interesting. And then Khamzat Chimaev making his RAF debut against Dylan Dennis. I expect a lot of dominations here, but it'll be fun to see some of these guys make their debuts on the mats because we've seen Khamzat's training footage. We know he's a freestyle wrestler. I just want to see it. And I hate that his first opponent's Dylan Dennis, but hopefully this sets the table for a bigger fight in the future. But let's talk about UFC 118. I went 8-3 on my picks. Overall, 916 wins, 446 losses, 14 no contests and draws. On the year, 136 wins, 56 losses, 3 no contests or draws. So did pretty well overall. To recap this card, I thought it was a solid card. I was really hyped about the Joanderson Brito fight. It didn't quite transpire. Same with the Edgar Chairez Bruno Silva fight. I think there was a lot of potential, but we had some quick finishes pretty much throughout the entire evening. And you know me, do I like finishes as much as anybody? Sure. But I like a little bit of a back and forth. Like I actually enjoyed the Tom Nolan and the Brendan Allen fights more, even though they went to decisions. But I'm going to recap this a 5 out of 10. The main event wasn't super competitive. And just a lot of lopsided bouts, which has kind of been the theme for some of these Apex cards of late. But some good fights we did not break down. We had Ketlin Souza with a round 1 TKO over Ariane Carnelosi. Slight work for her, landing a big shot loaded up after about a minute. Chelsea Chandler with a round 1 submission via armbar over Priscilla Cajera. Just kind of fell into top control, got that armbar. And then a couple lopsided bookings. Marcus McGee with a nice win. The guy making his UFC debut, very young talent. You know, he has a promising future, but like, why are we letting him debut against Marcus McGee, who is now back into the rankings at number 15? And Marcus, that's a lose-lose situation. You're not going to take too many risks, but he looked good. As well as Bryce Mitchell, pretty good competitor that he got booked against. But again, why are we doing that? He grappled his way to victory. But we'll kick this off in the prelims. We had Joanderson Brito with a round 1 submission via ninja choke over Jordan Leavitt. And Jordan started this fight very aggressive. He was looking to get Brito down, get where he's more comfortable, not standing and trading with the wild and chaotic striker like Joanderson. But Joanderson was prepared. He defended very well. He did a good job when he got into top control, keeping top control, although Jordan did get a sweep at one moment. There was some striking exchanges in this fight, but Brito was holding his ground after defending those takedowns, continued to pressure Jordan, was kind of coming at him with the full kitchen sink, and that forced him to shoot a double leg to try to maneuver around that striking. And Brito got that choke in very deep, very quick. Leavitt was forced to tap. It was an interesting first round. Again, I think it would have been a lot of fun to see this shake out at least 2 rounds. But I think Joanderson's strikes would have started to open up, and I think Jordan would have been slowing down in round 2. For that reason, I'm a little surprised. Hold on, someone's at my door. Oh, just got a package. No problem. But statistically, Jordan landed 27 total strikes, only 7 significant. He had a submission attempt, a reversal, was 0 for 5 in takedown attempts. He did have 2 minutes and 21 seconds of control time. Joanderson landed 15 total strikes, only 5 significant with the submission, and 1 minute and 17 seconds of control time. So now that Jordan has moved up, he figured he could have more of a man body, be able to control the grappling. But as I expected, Joanderson's defense too stiff, and that was the big differentiator that led to this quick finish. So Joanderson extends that winning streak to 2. He's 3-2 since 2024, getting back on the winning track. Jordan ends his 2-fight winning streak. He starts a new losing streak. He is 3-2 since 2023. Hasn't been super active. Will be interesting to see what's next for him. I think the next fights, we get a banger between Joanderson and Nathaniel Wood. I think that's a fight to make. The winner clearly gets a crack into the rankings. And for Jordan, he could square up with Jack Jenkins. Then how about this performance? This was a fight I got wrong. Edgar Chairez with a round 1 submission via rear naked choke over Bruno Silva. Performance of the night, 100 G's for Edgar. And I mean, just what a performance by Edgar. He used his length beautifully. He defended takedowns early in the fight very well. And after a while, he caught Bruno, because when Bruno tries to close distance, he kind of squats down and flurries into a combo. Right as he did, boom, nice uppercut through the guard. This was about his 4th time kind of storming in closing distance. Edgar was prepared. I'm sure he worked on that in training. And that rocked Bruno, gave Chairez the opportunity to swiftly take his back and sink in the choke. At this point, best win of his UFC career. Although he has won majority of his career, he did face the phenom young talents early in his career, Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira. So it'll be interesting to see, really how good he is. But this was quite a win to finish Bruno Silva in the first round. People don't do that. And Bruno's fought most of the division. Statistically, Bruno landed 17 total and significant strikes. He was 0 for 3 in takedowns. And Edgar landed 24 total and significant strikes with a submission attempt and 2 knockdowns. Edgar now extends that winning streak to 3. He is 4-1 since 2024. He does enter the rankings at number 15, takes Bruno's spot. And Bruno extends his losing streak to 2. He's only 2-4 since 2024, although he has been active, and he exits the top 15. So what's next? I think Edgar and Alex Perez would make sense. I would like them to rebook the Alex Perez-Sumideri fight, but typically that doesn't happen. And for Bruno, how about a showdown with his opponent in Sumideri? Moving on, still in the flyweights, we had Alessandro Costa with a round 1 TKO over Matt Schnell. And Matt was looking fairly comfortable to start this fight. Definitely, the veteran with the experience. He was bouncy. He was striking nice at range. Had good distance control. But Alessandro, after a while, landed a massive right hand over the top. And it put Matt on stilts. And when Matt was down, Costa just came on kind of side control and rained a bunch of hammer fists down on him. And he was tied up on Alessandro's leg and just was taking it. He wasn't really defending. It's kind of a hard situation because Matt wasn't knocked out. He was, clearly, visibly still aware of what was going on. But when you take 30 of those, bam, 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 like what is the ref going to do? Tough spot for Matt because he now officially retires. He had a retirement stint before and returned, but I'm sure this will be the end of Matt Schnell, who had a lot of adversity in his UFC career. I think he was an Ultimate Fighter guy back in 2016. He had a chance against Demetrius Johnson, and then he lost to Tim Elliott in the quarterfinals. That got him a chance in the UFC. He went on a 4-fight win streak. Biggest name, probably Jordan Espinoza. Got knocked out by Alexandre Pantoja. Nice win against Tyson Nam. Lost to Brandon Royval. Beat Sumideri in Fight of the Year in 2022. 3 straight losses to Mathus Nickal, Steve Ursig, Cody Durden. Defeated Jimmy Flick. Still not a big name. Tough loss to Joseph Morales late last year, and now Alessandro Costa. So I don't blame him. He hung in there. The UFC's tough, man. You got to be an elite talent to have a successful career. But Matt landed 8 total insignificant strikes. Alessandro, 19 total insignificant with the knockdown. So Alessandro extends his winning streak to 2. He is 3-1 since 2024. And Matt extends his losing streak to 2. He was 1-4 to finish his career since 2024. So where do we go next with Alessandro? I think Tim Elliott would be a fun one up in the rankings. Tim's always game. That seems like a win-win. Moving into the main card, continuing quick fights. We had Baraniewski with a round 1 TKO over Junior Tafa. Performance of the night, 100 G's. Iwu stays undefeated. And we expected this to be a first-round fight, but it unfolded quite differently than I expected. Junior, classic, super heavy-footed lead leg, launching huge overhands. Iwu did a good job staying just out of range, blocking a lot of those. But, when someone kicks or fully loads up and hits you there, I'm sure that still doesn't feel good. But Iwu ended up trying to get a takedown, test Tafa a little bit. Tafa prevailed. They separated. And then he launched a second. I'm pretty sure it was only 2 lead leg calf kicks that this took. And Junior didn't check him, Again, he has that huge right. All that weight series loading up. Calf kick. That's all it took. He fell to his back. Iwu jumped in, had some ground and pound. They called the fight. So Junior really didn't get a chance of much going on. And we know how deadly the leg kick has become. But you got to be prepared in the UFC at all levels for this. I mean, 2 of them and your fight's done with. All that training, money opportunities, preparation. Iwu's got to love it because he comes unscathed. But, yeah, tough loss for Junior. Statistically, Iwu only landed 6 total insignificant strikes with the knockdown. He was 0 for 1 in takedowns. And Junior technically did not land 1 strike. That's debatable in my opinion, but a lot of his shots were blocked. But Iwu stays undefeated. He has a winning streak of 9, 4-0 in the UFC. And Junior starts a new losing streak. He is 2-5 since 2024. So what's next? I think really the only option, unless he sits on the shelf for a while, which after that win, I think he'd want to fight again this year at least. I think Iwu and Modestas Bukauskas is the fight to make. And for Junior, how about Luke Fernandez? Moving on, another fight I got wrong. How about Tom Nolan with unanimous decision over Chairez Ziam? This was a very, hard contested dogfight, back and forth, grappling, standing, striking. I figured Chairez would be the one pressuring Tom and being the offensive grappler earlier in the fight and honestly just letting his hands fly more. But that's actually the way Tom started the fight. Biggest fight of his young UFC career. He went for it. That's what you love to see. Tom actually got 2 takedowns with some good control time in round 1. That allowed him to wear Ziam out a little bit. He had some nice ground and pound to win the round as well. And then round 2, both men tried for takedowns but didn't have much success. But Tom was throwing more strikes, landed the more damaging, impactful shots. Chairez did have some moments. It was a very close round, but I think you give the edge to Nolan, especially because he had Chairez up in the clinch a lot and was controlling the fight there. So 2-0, Tom. Round 3, Zalal has his back against the cage, or back against the wall. Has to come out more aggressive. He did. Actually got some takedowns this round, but he really never had big defining moments. I just don't feel like he was aggressive enough, which you're defending your spot in the rankings that you've worked so hard on that winning streak for. But you do have to credit Nolan, his pressure, his grappling. I think that was a little unexpected for Chairez. But this is a disappointing outing for Zalal. He's now back into the deep end of a very, very tough and deep lightweight division. Statistically, Chairez landed 48 total strikes, 16 of them significant. He had 3 takedowns in 5 attempts, a submission attempt, a reversal, and 5 minutes and 7 seconds of control time. And Tom landed 65 total strikes, 31 of them significant. He was 2 for 6 in takedowns with a reversal and 6 minutes and 47 seconds of control time. So Tom extends his winning streak to 5. He's 6-1 in the UFC. He enters the rankings at number 15. And Chairez ends that 6-fight winning streak. He starts a new losing streak and exits the top 15. Again, all that work you put in, and you just let the guy go for it more, and you got to go for it. So what's next? Well, Tom called out Renato Moicano. Moicano said that he wants big names, big fights, so I don't think he's going to get that one. So I'm going to go with Jalen Turner on the outside of the top 15. His opportunity to fight back into the top 15. That'd be a doozy. And for Chairez, I'd like to see him fight Ignacio Bahamondes. Moving on in the co-main, we had Brendan Allen with a unanimous decision over Edmen Shahbazyan. Fight of the night, 100 G's for these gents. And as I stated coming in, Brendan alluded to it in his post-fight interview. This was a high-risk, lose-lose situation for Brendan. He did enough to get the job done. He said, I'm a dog. But I was surprised that this fight stayed on the feet as much as it did. I'm surprised Brendan didn't go for more takedown opportunities. I thought he was going to try to make this as simple as possible. Not only did Brendan not shoot takedowns like he usually does, but Brendan was able to outstrike Edmen, especially early in the fight. Brendan had a takedown attempt in each round. He didn't get one until round 3. So it's not like he was spamming takedowns or really testing Edmen on the grappling edge. But Edmen, I think, was really focused on not being taken down because he was landing his nice jab, very stiff jab, had Brendan a little bloodied and nose battered by the end of it, but he didn't follow up with the combinations and the crisp boxing that we've come to know from Edmen, especially that makes him so dangerous in round 1. I thought for sure he was going to try to knock Brendan out in round 1, and he did not show that fire. Brendan would plot forward for majority of the fight, put Edmen in clinch situations, nice knees up the middle, nice elbows, dirty boxed him throughout the entire fight, just kind of made it dirty on the feet. When he was exiting positions every time in the clinch or they were up close against the cage, exit elbow, exit knee, exit kick, again, was at least throwing something to score and find the mark for damage, and Edmen didn't do that. I thought he needed to mix things up more, not be as defensive, but Allen, credit to him, landed some good damage every round. He should get a big name next after this impressive performance and taking a high-risk young up-and-comer. But for Edmen, who's still young but been in the UFC for such a long time, I figured he'd at least go for it. So, in these situations, it's at the Apex. It's not a huge stadium. Did he let the butterflies get to him a little bit too much? Was it too big of a moment for him? Hard to say. Statistically, Brendan landed 91 total strikes, 89 of them significant. He had 1 takedown in 4 attempts. And Edmen landed 90 total insignificant strikes. He was 0 for 1 in takedown attempts. So Brendan now extends his winning streak to 3. He's 4-2 since 2024. And Edmen ends his 3-fight winning streak, starts a new losing streak, is also 4-2 since 2024. So what's next? There's been this rumor, Brendan hinted at it, that it should be Kamaru and DDP fighting next. He said, give me the winner if that's an opportunity. But I think him and Kyle Baralho right there in the rankings. Don't wait for the, Kamaru, especially if he wins. Take on the next up-and-comer. You could fight this year. Both will be game, and the winner gets a crack at the top. And for Edmen, I think Yusri Belgori, that would be one hell of a banger. Moving on to the main event. I kind of wish this was not a 5-round fight. Gabriel Bonfim, absolute domination, unanimous decision over Belal Muhammad. And for me, what's crazy is, let's pull it up. Belal had the hardest path to a UFC title. Really spent his prime through it, everything he's got, I'm sure. Started his win streak back in 2019. Beating Diego Lima in 2021. Had the no contest to Leon Edwards, which I think he would have lost, but it was the eye poke. Defeats Damian Maia. Defeats Stephen Thompson. Defeats Vicente Luque. Knocks out Sean Brady. Defeats Gilbert Burns. Defeats Leon Edwards for the title. I'm not surprised he lost to Jack Della. The Ian Machado-Gary fight. Little surprised how it went down. And then this. So hard to get there. How did he get there? With really fucking empty the gas tank, go for takedowns, make this guy fucking earn it type shit. Did not see that at all. He knocks out Sean Brady ever since. He stays on the feet for majority of his fights. Gabriel Bonfim just outpointed him. He saw the Ian Machado-Gary game plan, said, I am longer. I'm going to use my nice straight jab. I'm going to follow it up here and there, keep moving, and not let Belal come. Every time Belal tried to close distance, it was a jab or a kick or something to push him back. You would think after 15 minutes at least that there would be a different game plan. I'm not sure what's going on with Belal. Maybe he's hurt because he's worked his ass off and stayed active. I don't know. Maybe he's just lost confidence or his body's breaking down on him. It's really hard to say. But I'm just, he was known for such workhorse ethic, great game planning, take away their weaknesses, and you did not see that at all in this fight. Gabriel had a game plan coming in round 1. You could hear his coaches even enforcing that game plan. Stay at range, only do this, don't get too crazy. And he stuck with his game plan for 25 minutes, and Belal could not figure it out. Again, I don't think Belal is this worldly talent, but he was a former champion, went on that crazy win streak, but he did it with a path to victory, and he has all but abandoned that. Credit to Gabriel Bonfim. This guy is going to be a stud. He's still so young. I can't wait to see what he has ahead in his future. But now he is in the deep end, and he is not going to have a way out, so he better be prepared. Statistically, Belal landed 86 total insignificant strikes. He was 0 for 2 in takedown attempts. Gabriel landed 128 total insignificant, was 0 for 1 in takedown attempts. So, Gabriel now extends that winning streak to 5. He is 7-1 since 2023. He moves up 6 spots in the rankings to number 5. Belal extends his losing streak to 3. He's 1-3 since 2024. He only drops down 2 spots to number 7. So, like, in my rankings, I would not have Belal 7. He'd be lucky to be in the top 15. I'm interested to see that new ranking system, how it treats guys like that. So what's next? Unlike some of the other call-outs, Gabriel called for Jack Della Maddalena. He's top 5 now. I'm all for it. Some new blood. I think JDM would be game for that. And for Belal, I'd like to see him fight Yaroslav Amosov. But one more thing on Gabriel. He has usually gone 0-100 early in the fights and gassed himself out. He showed an amazing plan over 25 minutes, was fresh the entire fight. He is moving in the right direction, and that is going to be a problem for the fighters in the top of a very, 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 very good middleweight division. Or is it welterweight? I think welterweight. Yeah, welterweight. Not Saturday, but this Sunday, UFC Freedom 250, main card 5 p.m. Pacific, all on Paramount Plus. I was a little concerned with this the past 2 weeks due to the weather. There was projected storms, potential lightning and thunder, and that's really the worst case scenario. If there's a little bit of rain, I think they could push through it because the top of the so-called claw has a little cover there. But if there's high winds, stormy weather, I don't know how they're going to do it. It sounds like they would push it back a day, worst case scenario. But looking at the weather now, Saturday, partly cloudy, no rain. Friday, no rain. Thursday, no rain. Saturday, Sunday, no rain. Starting thunderstorms on Monday. So it's looking bright because it is going to, or I'm in the wrong week. That's next week. Saturday, no rain. Sunday, potential rain, but no thunderstorms. Potential rain Monday, showers Tuesday. So it's like the storm has been kind of intermittent. It is supposed to rain today, tomorrow, thunderstorm Friday. So it looks like they're going to have a window. I'm going to say it's going to go down, but there for a while is a little sketched out. But to preview this card, as we know, it's only 7 fights, all on the White House lawn. Diplomats from all the countries, A-list celebrities, whoever gets the damn invite to go, fighters' families. But 7 UFC fights, 2 title fights on the UFC lawn. That should all that need to be said for a preview. You know, I think this is about as good of a card as it could have got. I think if you had the Kayla Harrison, Amanda Nunes fight, add John Jones in, no offense to Alex Pajeda, against Tom Aspinall, that's the 10 out of 10. But I am previewing this a 9 out of 10. I do not think there's bad fights on this card, and the first card is going to open this bad boy up. So let's jump right in. We have Diego Lopes, 31 years old with a 27-8 record, and the number 2 next to his name, taking on Steve Mean Machine Garcia, 34 years old with a 19-5 record, and the number 9 next to his name. I actually think this is probably the most certified pick for fight of the night. Diego and Steve, for majority of their careers, have only known how to fight one way, and that is with violence, with high pace. This is the table setter for Freedom 250. It's going to be hard for the other fights to live up to it. I mean, Steve is at the back half of his prime at 34. He hasn't faced the level of competition that Diego has, but he is an underdog. You could tell in his interviews he feels like he's treated as an underdog. He wants to prove people wrong. Lopes, ever since the Contender Series, has been thrown deep into the UFC waters since he's debuted. I think at 31 years old, we're going to see the best version of himself. He's going to show the dog that he's got in him, like he did in his fight against John Silva. But Steve is on an impressive 7-fight winning streak, 6 finishes, mostly in the first round. But Diego has showcased that he can take a shot. He's durable. He has not been finished in the UFC. How about a UFC start for Diego? He's now fought on UFC 300. He fought at UFC Noche at the Sphere, and now on the White House lawn. This fight is going to be a chaotic striking affair, but I think if someone were to mix in grappling, I do think it'll be Steve Garcia. Breaking it down, Diego has an orthodox stance. He has a second-degree black belt in BJJ. His last 3 fights have been fight of the night. He also had the one that was a double bonus for performance of the night. He's absolutely showing up. He's showing out. He was the 2023 Newcomer of the Year, 2024 Breakout Fighter of the Year. He's a Contender Series and Fury FC alum. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 4-2 since 2024. 12 of his 27 wins are via submission, 11 via knockout, so 23 of his 27 wins via finish. Now, Steve trains out of Jackson's MMA. 3 of his last 4 fights were performance of the night. He shows up, shows out. Again, this is a banger. He's a Bellator, LFA, and Contender Series alum. 15 of his 19 wins are via knockout, and he has a 2.5-inch reach advantage. Now, Steve has been fighting by really just steamrolling his opponents, being very aggressive. I doubt that he tries to change his game plan at this point, but I don't think he's going to have success taking Diego down and just trying to out-physicality him. Diego has showcased good grappling defense. He's a good counter striker, which makes this fight very, very interesting. Steve is a little taller, which is not normal for Diego and his opponents, and he does have a reach advantage, but I don't expect both men to stick at distance, stand and trade, and circle around. Diego has had to fight with a similar style opponent in that fight against John Silva, and he had to weather an early round 1 storm. I think this fight is going to be much of the same, but if Diego gets out of round 1, I do think that he goes on and wins via decision. For that reason, I'm taking Diego Lopes. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. I can't wait for that fight. Moving on, we have Bo Nickal, 30 years old with an 8-1 record, taking on Kyle the Darce Knight Daukaus, 33 years old with a 17-4-1 record. This is another showdown, 2 men in their primes, 2 Americans, where one has more experience, but the other is a big-name fighter with a bright future. The question is Bo well-rounded enough to be able to get through a gritty and well-rounded Daukaus, who has constantly been an underdog? This is his second chance with the UFC. You know, Kyle, since he's returned, has defeated Gerald Mearshart and Michelle Pajeda, but I think Bo is much more powerful, explosive, and well-rounded, so this is not going to be an easy fight. I'm sure Bo is going to try to mix in grappling, but he has to be careful of his neck because Kyle is sneaky with his BJJ. Breaking this down, Bo has a wrestling style. He has a southpaw stance. He has a purple belt in BJJ. He has a D1 wrestling background out of Penn State. He was a 3-time national champion, and he got second place his freshman year. He's the 2023 Rookie of the Year. He's an Icon FC and Contender Series 2-time alum. He's on a 1-fight winning streak. He's 3-1 since 2024. 4 of his 8 wins are via submission, 3 via knockout, so 7 of his 8 wins are via finish. Now, Kyle has a black belt in BJJ, a purple belt in Muay Thai. He's the King of the Cage, Cage Fury, Ring of Combat, and Contender Series alum. He's a former Cage Fury champion with 4 overall title defenses. He's on a 6-fight winning streak, 2-0 in his return to the UFC. 12 of his 17 wins are via submission, and 2 of his 4 losses are via knockout. Now, this is Bo's moment to regain the hype train, get that momentum back, get it back on the tracks, because after his loss to RDR, I feel like it's fainted a lot, and people didn't know if he really was the real deal. But this is his toughest test in the UFC. Kyle definitely could get finishes of his own, but I think Bo's going to be coming at him. I can't wait to see what his game plan is and how his striking looks, but I think he mixes in kicks. I think he has long combinations, and I think when he gets Kyle's back up against the cage, he's going to look for takedowns. Kyle is going to have to find a way to get Bo on his back foot like RDR did, and I don't think he's going to be able to do so. For that reason, I'm taking Bo Nickal. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Moving on. We have Mauricio Ruffy, 29 years old with a 13-2 record and the number 9 next to his name, taking on Michael Iron Chandler, 40 years old with a 23-10 record and the number 13 next to his name. Now, I truly believe that Michael's waiting game for Conor McGregor, I think it cost him the last valuable years of his MMA career. He was dominated in his last 3 fights for the most part, and now he gets a young bull entering his prime who is coming off the best win of his UFC career and is an absolute sniper. If Michael wants to get out on top at the White House, he needs to use his wrestling, and he just has not done that in the UFC. Breaking this down, Mauricio has an orthodox stance. He trains out of Fighting Nerds. He had the 2025 Knockout of the Year against King Green. He's a Contender Series alum. 3 of his last 5 fights have been Performance of the Night. He's showing up. He's showing out. He's on a 1-fight winning streak and is 4-1 since 2024. 12 of his 13 wins are via knockout. And he has a 3.5-inch reach and leg reach advantage. Now, Michael trains out of Killcliff. He has a black belt in BJJ. He has a D1 wrestling background out of Missouri. He placed 5th his senior year. He's a Strikeforce and Bellator alum. He's a former Bellator champ with 3 overall title defenses. He has the most submission victories in Bellator lightweight history with 6. He's tied with AJ McKee for second most stoppage wins in Bellator history with 13. He has the second most stoppage wins in Bellator lightweight history with 10, behind Patricky Pitbull. He has the second most title bouts in Bellator history with 18. He's tied with Alima McFarlane Neiman Gracie for the second most submission wins in Bellator history with 6. He had the 2021 Fight of the Year against Justin Gaethje in the UFC. 5 of his 7 UFC fights have been Fight of the Night or Performance of the Night. He shows up. He shows out. He's on a 3-fight losing streak, is only 1-3 since 2022. 11 of his 23 wins are via knockout, 7 via submission, so 18 of his 23 wins via finish. 5 of his 10 losses are via knockout. Now, both of these men, they're fan-friendly. They have aggressive styles. I would not be surprised if both men are a bit gun-shy to fight at the start of the fight. But if Michael doesn't pressure Mauricio, Mauricio usually waits for his opponents to come first. So they could be in a weird distance battle spot for a while. Michael wouldn't be smart to just charge down Mauricio with his speed and power. But I do think he needs to mix in that grappling, or he's going to get it picked apart from distance, or will pay when he tries to close the distance. Because again, Mauricio has serious speed and precision, and I don't think Michael has that. Michael comes at you, is aggressive, tries to push you back and let his offense flow. I don't think he's going to have a chance in this fight. For that reason, I'm taking Mauricio Ruffy. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. Great fights, though. I mean, that first fight, fucking dog fight. How good is Bo Nickal? This Mauricio Ruffy, Michael Chandler, certified finish. And speaking of certified finish, in the heavyweight division, we have Josh Hokit, 28 years old with an undefeated 9-0 record and the number 5 next to his name, taking on Derrick the Black Beast Lewis, 41 years old with a 29-13-1 record and the number 9 next to his name. This is absolutely going to be a one-round fight. Derrick is either going to find his mark and use his length to catch Josh, or Josh is going to make this a bar fight or takes Derrick down and easily gets the victory. I just pray that the Black Beast shows up in shape, takes this fight serious, and could hang for more than a couple minutes. At 41 years old, it's hard for me to have a lot of faith in him, especially with his last performance. But he has a chance to catch anyone on any given night. Hokit does overswing on his power shots as well. But Josh is just so much more athletic. He's smaller. He's quicker. His movement is going to be much better. It's just a complete different stylistic matchup in the heavyweight division. Breaking it down, Josh trains out of Jackson Wink MMA. He has a football background. He played for Fresno State and played in some NFL practice squads. All 3 of his UFC fights have been performance of the night or fight of the night. He did have that double bonus. He's showing up. He's showing out. He has the most significant strikes landed in a 3-round heavyweight bout with 177 against Curtis Blades. He has the second most significant strikes landed in a heavyweight bout, which was 177 against Blades. He has the most significant head strikes landed, 164 against Blades. He's a Bellator, LFA, and Contender Series alum. He's undefeated on a 9-fight winning streak, 4-0 in the UFC. Now, Derrick has a purple belt in BJJ. He's a Bellator, Legacy FC, and RFA alum. He's a former Legacy FC champ with 1 successful title defense. He's tied with Stefan Struve for second most post-fight bonuses in heavyweight history with 8. He has the most knockouts in the UFC and in heavyweight history with 16 of them things. The knockout king. He has the most finishes in heavyweight history with 16. He's tied with Donald Cerrone for third most finishes in UFC history with 16. He has the second most wins in heavyweight history with 20, behind Andrei Arlovsky. The second most bouts in heavyweight history with 31, behind Arlovsky. The second most knockdowns landed in heavyweight history with 11, behind Junior Dos Santos. He has the second most total fight time in UFC heavyweight history, 4 hours, 33 minutes, 59 seconds, behind Arlovsky. He has the latest comeback finish by striking deficit in a finished fight, which was minus 82 against Alexander Volkov. He has the most knockouts stemming from ground strikes in UFC history with 9. He had the 2018 comeback of the year against Alexander Volkov. He's on a 1-fight losing streak and is 2-1 since 2024. 24 of his 29 wins are via knockout. 8 of his 13 losses are also via knockout. So to knock out or be knocked out. And he has a 5.5-inch reach advantage. Now, clearly Josh is going to be moving a lot. Derrick is going to try to stalk him down, get in range to launch those bombs. I think that Josh is going to look to counter once Derrick winds up or throws and try to land a fury of combinations like 4 to 5 strikes to Derrick's 1 or 2. But Derrick, one of the things that I think is intriguing here, has some sneaky head kicks. And as the bigger fighter, Josh is going to have to watch out for those. But I'd eventually expect Josh to cut off the cage, try to get Derrick up against the cage, and look to take him down as quickly as possible. And I think Josh has way more paths to victory. I would love nothing more than Derrick to knock him out. But I am taking Josh Hokit. I'm avoiding this on any parlays possible. And I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. I think if Josh wins, he gets Sergey Pavlovich. And I think he gets absolutely starched. But moving on, the last fight before the title fights. We got Sean Sugar O'Malley, 31 years old with a 19-3-1 record and the number 3 next to his name, taking on Aiemann Zahabi, 38 years old with a 14-2 record and the number 6 next to his name. This is the moment for Aiemann to be a real contender and player in the bantamweight division. This is also a chance for Sean to prove he deserves a shot at the title once again. Aiemann with his brother in his corner, one of the best coaches in the game, is a very technical veteran. He has nice, tight defense, but has been mostly a point fighter on his winning streak. Sean is an unorthodox, jukey, fast sniper with a ton of deception. He is going to find ways to draw Zahabi into the range, find his marks. Aiemann hasn't been a fighter looking for takedowns, but if he wants to put a real fight competition up against Sean, he should at least try. But a lot of people have tried that against Sean. They haven't come close. It's a lot easier said than done. Breaking this down, Sean trains here out of Red Hawk Academy. He has a brown belt in BJJ. He's an LFA and Contender Series alum. He's a former bantamweight champion with one successful title defense. He has the most significant strikes landed in UFC bantamweight fight, 230 against Marlon Vera 2. 6 of his last 10 UFC fights have been fight of the night or performance of the night. He shows up, he shows out. He has the most post-fight bonuses in UFC bantamweight history with 9. He's tied with Marlon Vera and Rob Font for second most knockouts in UFC bantamweight history with 6. He has the highest significant strike accuracy percentage in bantamweight history at 60.8%. He has the third highest significant strike differential in UFC bantamweight history at 2.71. He has the third highest striking differential in a UFC bout with 160 against Chris Moutinho. He has the second highest striking differential in a UFC bantamweight bout, 141 against Marlon Vera in their second fight. He had the 2023 knockout of the year against Aljamain Sterling. He won the 2024 ESPY for Best Male MMA Fighter. He's on a one-fight winning streak, 2-2 since 2024. 12 of his 19 wins are via knockout, and he does have a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Now, Aiemann has a black belt in BJJ. He's on a 7-fight winning streak, 4-0 since 2024. 6 of his 14 wins are via knockout. 1 of his 2 losses are via knockout. So to knock out or be knocked out. Now, I'm assuming Aiemann is going to try and find a way to pressure Sean early. Keep him on his back foot, but we have not seen anyone do that besides the Machin Merab Dvalishvili. And that was all due to his wrestling. I think the first round is probably a very close contested fight, a little bit back and forth, guys trying to figure out the distance battle, figure each other out. Sean is just so damn twitchy with his fakes. He never lets you get settled and find your spots. I think by round 2, Sean gets comfortable, starts to let his hands fly, has more confidence since that Song Yadong fight. He's either going to dominate on the scorecards, but I do think he has a chance at getting a finish. Zahabi has been knocked down a few times of late. He's getting older, and Sean has serious power in his hands. For that reason, I'm taking the Sugar Show. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. I'm going to hammer the Sean O'Malley money line, and I'm going to hammer knockout. Then we have the interim heavyweight title showdown. Alex Poatan Pajeda, 38 years old with a 13-3 record, taking on Cyril Bongamin Gan, 36 years old with a 13-2-1 record, and the number 1 next to his name. I really wish we were getting Tom Aspinall here, but, crazy circumstances. But this is one of the more light-footed striking heavyweights in the UFC, matched up with amazing textbook striking, taking on the former kickboxing champion, who is seeking his 3rd title in 3 different weight classes. Honestly, what Alex is attempting is absolutely unreal, and he has actually taken the time to put on the weight and the power properly to prepare for this fight. I mean, he looks thick. Usually Cyril is much lighter than his opponents, but I think Alex is going to be pretty close in weight, and he has just as much power as anyone that Cyril's faced at heavyweight. Cyril was exposed by John Jones and Francis Ngannou for his lack of grappling chops, but has really improved the last few years, and I think may look to finally test Alex in his takedown defense. Magomed Ankalaev tried for 12 takedowns in their title match, but Alex stuffed every single one of those. Is Cyril Gane's grappling as good as Magomed Ankalayev's? I don't think so. But Ankalaev never really sold out for the grappling there. Jan Blachowicz actually had some success when Alex made his light heavyweight debut. I saw it in person in Salt Lake City. He had some success, but Alex was still victorious. Alex Powhatan is intimidating. All the movement Cyril has, it's not going to matter. Alex has dealt with those stylistic fighters in his kickboxing days and at the lighter weights. I think if anyone is prepared for the stylistic nightmare that Cyril Gane possesses, it's Alex Pereira. Breaking this down, Alex has a kickboxing style. He has an orthodox stance. He has black belts in kickboxing and BJJ. He's a Jungle Fight alum and former champ, LFA alum, Glory alum and former light heavyweight and middleweight champ. He's a two-time light heavyweight champ in the UFC with 3 successful title defenses in his first reign, a former middleweight champion as well. He has the shortest time and fewest bouts to win championships in 2 divisions in UFC history, 736 days and in 7 bouts. He has the shortest time for 3 consecutive title defenses in UFC history, only 175 days. He's tied with Chuck Liddell for second most light heavyweight title fight wins with 5. That's behind John Jones. He's tied with Chuck Liddell for most knockouts in UFC light heavyweight title fights with 5. He's the first and only fighter to win at the UFC middleweight and light heavyweight championships. He has the fewest MMA bouts to become a 2-division champion, only 11 bouts. Shit's unreal. Second most knockouts in UFC title fights with 6, only behind Anderson Silva. The second fewest MMA bouts to become a UFC champion with only 8, behind Brock Lesnar. 4 of his last 6 fights have been fight of the night or performance of the night. He shows up, he shows out. Chama. He has the highest significant strike percentage in UFC history with 62.1%. And the people that qualify are fighters with over 1,000 attempted significant strikes. He has the highest significant strike percentage in UFC light heavyweight history at 64.3%. He has the latest knockout in a UFC middleweight title fight, 2 minutes and 1 second in round 5 against Israel Adesanya in their first fight. He holds wins over 6 former UFC champions, Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, Jan Blachowicz, Yuri Prohaska 2 times, Jamal Hill, and Magomed Ankalaev. He was the 2024 Fighter of the Year, 2022 Male Fighter of the Year, 2019 Glory Fighter of the Year, and Glory had the 2017 Fight of the Year against Israel Adesanya, the 2019 Knockout of the Year against Jason Wilness. He's on a 1-fight winning streak, 4-1 since 2024, and 11 of his 13 wins are via knockout. Now, Cyril trains out of the MMA factory. He's the former interim UFC heavyweight champion. He's tied with Andrei Arlovsky and Cain Velasquez for second longest win streak in heavyweight history with 7. He was the 2021 Breakout Fighter of the Year. He's on a 2-fight winning streak with a no contest, is 2-1-1 since 2023. He hasn't been very active. 6 of his 13 wins are via knockout. I honestly don't know how this fight is going to shake out. Cyril looked so damn good against Tom Aspinall as long as that fight had lasted. I didn't think he looked great in his fight against Volkov, which he damn near lost. It's debatable. He beat an okay Sergey Spivak before that, before quickly getting submitted by John Jones. You know, Alex was able to handle another solid kickboxer in Khalil Roundtree Jr., but he had a bunch of adversity early on in that fight. So I think we're going to see a lot of that similar style of fight shake out in this fight as well. When I think of how does Alex lose, I just don't know how much time he has left at an elite level. He's nearing 39 years old, ton of fighting miles under him, and he's been so goddamn active. How is his body holding up? I'm not going to bet against Powhatan, Chama all the way. I think he has too much power in his hands. Cyril may get some good strikes early, may pressure into him, but he's going to have to be in and out. If he stays in close too long, it's going to be lights out. For that reason, I'm saying end new Chama. I'm taking Alex Pereira, but I'm avoiding this on any parlays possible. Now in the main event, we get Ilia El Matador Topuria, 29 years old with an undefeated 17-0 record, taking on Justin the Highlight Gaethje, 37 years old with a 27-5 record. Now Ilia is on a generational run. Wins over Volkanovski at 145, Max in his title defense, and Charles Oliveira in his move to the lightweight division. No discredit to Justin, but the way Ilia handled Charles, I don't think Justin is going to be able to do much better. Ilia is brilliant everywhere. Justin has serious power in his hands as well, and has a kind of weird fighting style that just comes at you not as technical, but can serve many problems. He's also not afraid to be killed. He'll come at you, take some hits to give some. Justin has defeated very good technical fighters like Rafael Fiziev 2 times and Dustin Poirier. He got an early round 2 victory via head kick against Poirier, and I think that is honestly his best shot to win this fight, because I don't think he can go 5 rounds and try to win a decision, because Topuria's technique and Ilia hasn't run into a threat of being finished since Jai Herbert landed a head kick early on in his career. Justin does have a little bit of height advantage. That head kick is very live, much like Hokit and Derrick Lewis. But the craziest thing is Ilia's not even in his fighting prime yet and is already in the GOAT conversation. Breaking this down, Ilia has an orthodox stance. He has a black belt in BJJ. He's the former featherweight champ with 1 successful title defense and is the first 2-division champion with an undefeated record. He's the 10th multi-division champ in UFC history, the first Georgian-born champ in UFC history. His last 6 fights have been performance of the night or fight of the night. He shows up, he shows out. He holds wins over 3 former UFC champs: Alexander Volkanovski, Max Holloway, and Charles Oliveira. He was the 2024 Fighter of the Year, had the 2025 Knockout of the Year versus Charles Oliveira. He's a Cage Warriors and Brave alum. He's undefeated on a 17-fight winning streak, 9-0 in the UFC. 8 of his 17 wins are via submission, 7 via knockout, so 15 of his 17 wins via finish. Now, Justin has an orthodox stance. He trains with Onyx and Trevor Whitman. He has a D1 wrestling background out of Northern Colorado. He placed 7th as a junior. He's a 2-time interim lightweight champion. He's the oldest fighter in history to win a UFC lightweight title, 37 years and 71 days. He's the only 2-time interim champion in UFC history. Has the UFC BMF title. 13 of his 15 UFC fights have been fight of the night or performance of the night. He's nicknamed the Highlight for a reason. He shows up, he shows out. I was grateful enough to watch him fight Dustin Poirier in Salt Lake City and Paddy Pimblett in Vegas to start the year. He's tied with Edson Barboza and Dustin Poirier for the most fight of the night bonuses in UFC history with 10. He's tied with Joe Lozon, Charles Oliveira, and Jim Miller for most post-fight bonuses in UFC lightweight history with 15. He has the most post-fight bonuses per bout in UFC history, 15 bonuses and 15 bouts. And that's for fighters with 4+ UFC fights. He's the only fighter in UFC history to win a post-fight bonus in each of his first 7 UFC bouts. He has the 3rd highest significant strike accuracy percentage in UFC lightweight history, 58.8%. I mean, this guy is just a fucking showman. 2017 Fight of the Year against Michael Johnson. 2018 Fight of the Year against Dustin Poirier. 2021 Fight of the Year against Michael Chandler. 2023 Knockout of the Year against Dustin Poirier. 2024 Fight of the Year versus Max Holloway at UFC 300. He's a Ring of Fire, Rage of the Cage, World Series of Fighting alum, and he was a former champ with World Series of Fighting with 5 successful title defenses. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, 2-1 since 2024. 20 of his 27 wins are via knockout. 3 of his 5 losses are via knockout. 2 via submission. Kill or be killed. He does have a 3-inch leg reach advantage. But again, with that height, that extra long leg, I'm telling you, there's a chance. How does this fight really break down? How does it really show down? I think Justin is trying to get Ilya hyped so that he's willing to meet and clash in the middle. And I think he needs to let Ilya come first and try to counter him, but he has to be able to find a way to get Ilya backwards. Will there actually be any grappling in this fight? I don't think so. Does this go to the scorecards? I don't think so. Justin's best way is to make this a dogfight and find a way to find the mark. Is Ilya that tough and durable? I think Justin lands a clean shot, he can get the finish. But I am not betting against the technique, the confidence, the determination, the warrior spirit that Ilya Topuria has. That's a big reason I'm taking Alex Poatan Pajeda, is these two guys are built differently. For that reason, I'm taking Ilya Topuria. We are putting him on that parlay. We marking that ish down, and we getting that bread. And still, and if he does win, I hope he stays in the lightweight division and fights Arman Sarukian, although that's probably not likely. UFC motherfucking White House, though. 7 banger fights. Diego Lopes, Steve Garcia, certified banger. Bo Nickal, Kyle Daukaus. Going to be great. How good is Bo? Ruffy, Chandler. Someone's getting starched. Hokit, Lewis. Someone's getting starched. Sean O'Malley, Aiemann, Zahabi. The Sugar Show returns. Watch out. Chama, Poatan, Cyril Gane. Insane matchup. Ilya Topuria and the highlight Justin Gaethje. Doesn't get better than that. It is Sunday, but enjoy it because after this we go back to the Meta Apex. It's honestly a pretty solid card. It's a fun headliner. Number 2, Manel Kopp, and number 5th ranked Kyoji Horiguchi. That's episode 150. I'm your host, Shane Gillette. See you next week.